Hi Aquarius, here is a general look at your solar chart for December 2015 and January 2016. But before I do that, I just want to share some astro thoughts with you. Now that last month I was mentioning the Saturn-Neptune transit, how it's affecting us over November, December, and also popping up again at times in 2016. I also mentioned the Uranus-Pluto transit, and I just want to say something else about that now. These two, of course, are behind the general change, meltdown in some cases, huge radical change going on across the globe, culturally, economically, socially, to do with belief systems as well, especially now that Saturn has come into Sagittarius. I'll be saying more about that in the stars for 2016, which are coming out very shortly now. I just want to mention in the first half of December we have Mars in challenging aspect to Uranus. Pluto Mars can be a little bit of a trigger for these two, and tensions that are pushed down beneath the surface inherent in the Uranus-Pluto aspect will emerge, will get pushed up, like tectonic plates, kind of buckling and crunching against each other, and then explosions of sort of like, the tension or the volcanic eruptions, and of course it's for a fleeting time. It's just over the first half of December. Every time Mars comes around into a cardinal sign, the same thing's going to happen. It has done in 2015, will do in 2016, and of course in 2014 and 2017, because the Uranus-Pluto transit, even though it's no longer exact, is going to rumble on for a few more years, and we will see the effects globally of this. And those of us who have been on the planet a long time can really see the distinct and marked changes going on, and just how things are run, and not only that, but how the general tone of the way humans are one with one another, coming more from the mental side, the intellectual side, and far less from the heart side, because of course through the internet and through texting and blogging, and we are using our left brain a huge amount more than just meeting people down the pub. So anyway, that's a whole other subject. I just want to mention Mars coming onto here, triggering these two, might be minor in your life, but I'm just looking at the global sort of situation here. The tension build up could, is always looking like a pressure cooker for a way of release. So this could bring out the harsher side, the manipulative, controlling, unscrupulous side, particularly when Mars and Pluto get together. There's usually sort of underhand dealings going on. Or if it doesn't feel like that, then it can just feel like that one has got one's arm twisted up behind one's back because of some kind of emotional blackmail. Now, of course, we can bring these things on ourselves as well, feeling conscientious and obliged, etc. But just want you to be aware of that. So going back to the worldwide sort of influence of this, you can get an idea by the way of where these are in your natal chart, if you have it, by seeing which house they are in and then looking it up online. There's a plethora of information now online for everything to do with astrology, so just find it online. I'm going to tell you where they are in your sun sign forecast a little bit in a few minutes. So the global effects will involve, again, the banks, the governments, the financial property markets, the establishment, the status quo, and of course there's many in these sorts of positions that don't want the power base to shift, and they are in the habit of steamrollering over our universal freedoms. And of course the internet's going to come up as well, in this sort of way, as well as maybe radio and TV, because of Saturn being in the communication sign as Sagittarius. But So one side will tend to feel sort of outraged and victimized, and the other will seem, that they will not have a conscience. They will see it as their inalienable right to do these things, and will seem quite ruthless and only concerned with maintaining the control that they are used to, because they're trying to balance the books, or they just see it as they know better. And then on the flip side, energy levels can be very, very high with Mars Pluto, I have to say. So in your personal life, if you do have a mountain to climb, if you have a fight on your hands, then under this transit, much can be achieved, and you will possibly win as well, because even though Mars is in a contentious sort of angle with Pluto, it's a sort of energy that you need, which is very stubborn, and it's energy that will dig its heels in and help you. It depends on where Mars Pluto, of course, is in your chart. So for some people this will be minor, for others, and then you'll notice people around you that you know are getting it more strongly because of the degrees. It's always to do with the degrees of these things on a planet or on an important point in the chart. But you'll probably win, and but you won't be able to do that without modifying something along the way, without maybe letting go of something and compromising along the way. And you'll have to be canny and intuitive, listen to that gut knowing, as the powers that be, or the controlling faction, whether that's, bosses, teachers, parents, or something even bigger than that, circumstances beyond your control, can feel like it's beyond your ability to do anything about. But this is a great aspect for getting to the bottom of things, digging out the rot, and doing that in whatever way necessary, and then to regenerate, starting with whatever is left to build upon, whether that's in your private life or in across the globe in a bigger sort of a way. And instead of coming from ego, a fear-based mentality, and this is a big ask, because we are in a time of opportunity to shift into a much more expanded, advanced level of consciousness, and this is our invitation. This, we're still in this in this turning point time, and before the whole thing shuts down, if we can't sort of step up to the plate in some way and do things in a more compassionate, refined, elegant sort of way, instead of just shouting and screaming and shooting at each other, then we're going to end up right back where we were before, and then we have got to wait another few thousand years for the other opportunity, the next opportunity to come round again, and that is related to the galactic center. So just thought I'd mention that. And now for the rest of the forecast period, until the 22nd, the sun is in quite a forward-moving mood, connecting you with others. It's a great time for networking and making connections, making links, generally getting together with friends or with a group or organization of some kind, exploring different avenues, maybe. Quite an experimental feel about this. It's like it's got quite a fresh feel to it. So maybe you are meeting some people for the first time, or you're not familiar with an area or concepts or whatever. It has that sort of feeling. And then Mercury moves on the 10th, going into a much deeper area. So coming out of this experimental, chewing the fat, mulling it over with others, into a more sort of solitary kind of mood, where your thinking is more reflective, it's deeper. You're maybe beavering away busily behind the scenes, preparing stuff. You're maybe listening more deeply to your intuitive side about, which is the best way to go and how to do it. You could be feeling mentally at 6s and 7s, or you just don't have the clear-cut answers that you'd like yet, and things are sort of hanging in the air. So you just got to have faith and got to have hope before that clarity can come. And then when we go on into January, Mercury is going to be coming into your sign, so it's kind of going to be really, really all systems go there, mentally at least, being very, very busy, but more on that in a minute or two. At the very beginning of the month of December, Venus is supporting very warm relationships with those far away, or perhaps more friendly relationships with mentor figures, specialist type people, consultants, teachers, anybody that has or is helping you to get the pieces of the puzzle, and you as well. You could be valued for your knowledge and your ability to advise or to mentor as well. And but this type of person can be very helpful. You can consult with this type of person, and through their contribution or support, you get a better understanding, you get an insight into whatever. And then Venus moves to the top of your chart. That's a good place for her to be, because then she's oiling the wheel with authority type figures, maybe bosses, teachers, officials, that type of person. If you want to apply for something, then Venus at the top of the chart is probably a better time to do it. And somebody there that you kind of click with, can get on with, can help you to achieve your goals. But also vice versa, somebody might come up to you and you see that you're in a position of power over, not over them, but you've got more power in the world compared to them, and you can give them a helping hand as well. And then we have sorry, I was just looking at a bird out the window, because there's a bird that comes sometimes and she's only got one leg, but yeah, I don't think it was her, because if it had been her, I would have rushed out and given her some mealyworms, and then come back and finished your reading. So yeah, I have to get my priorities right here. Now, so that's a good place for Venus to be anyway. And you yourself could be the one who takes a firm but friendly stand and lends a helping hand, because you are in a position of power yourself. So you are the one that can help somebody else, compared to what they have access to. Mars is in a more outgoing, expansive area of your solar chart, and this means, and this is over December, this means that you are leaving behind quite an introspective time, which was maybe quite fretful. You're sort of keeping a lot in, and that would have been over perhaps the November time. But also decluttering and sorting out, that would have been over November. This now is a very outgoing, expansive area. It's more enthusiastic, it's more adventurous. Time for you to sort of blow away the cobwebs, get out of the routine box. There could be fresh horizons, a good time to launch into new things, sign up for something, learn something, go on a trip. And just, be stretching yourself physically, mentally during this time here. It's good for that. From the 22nd, the solar energies then change, and then the sun comes out of this progressive sort of area and goes into the background area that I was mentioning before, where Mercury is, and then that is, a lot going on behind the scenes, maybe taking on more, maybe, burning the midnight oil on something or other, and maybe sometimes it's feeling a sacrifice, or sometimes you are just, willingly volunteering to do something which is serving the common good here. And then that takes us on into January, and then in January the sun is going to be there in that position there until the 21st. At the beginning of January, Mercury is going to be in your sign, and so that means there's a lot on your mind, and you are making connections. There's maybe more correspondence, more paperwork, that kind of thing, more flitting hither and thither. And just bear in mind that Mercury goes retrograde between the 5th and the 25th, so that can, and of course if you follow astrology, you can find out what Mercury retrograde means, but it just means that there can be delays, slowdowns, even cancellations, and having to rethink things, having to just get maybe a bit more information or experience before you can absolutely 100% make up your mind on something. It can be like that. It can be affecting travel and transport as well. And then in January, Venus is in your house of friends. That's up until the 24th, and also your house of groups. So again, it's a great time for you to have Venus there, Aquarius, because you can really, click with others, meet new people, make connections. It's good for networking. It's good for actually earning money through your group connections as well. And then we have I'm being surrounded by birds here. They're all coming out to the window. Then we have Venus moving from the 24th into the sort of the more kind of quieter background area where you are feeling things a lot more maybe, but not giving your opinion on what you're feeling so readily. So it goes into a deeper area. In January, Mars is in this outgoing area until the 4th, but then moves on to the top of your chart, meaning that you will maybe have to be more proactive regarding the career side, the public side of life, connecting more with the sorts of people that could help, or that you could do business with career-wise, or to do with your general life direction and where you want to go. So working harder on aims and ambitions and coming up to certain standards, making efforts to present yourself in the way that you want to be seen by others. So thinking about the impression you're making, your outer image, etc. And again, quite a lot of energy going into that, and maybe sometimes feeling a bit frustrated by the powers that be or the authority figures because of a million reasons it could be, but sometimes it's like that. So keeping cool, calm, and collected will help you to make progress with the master plan, and those are the faster moving planets for January 2016, and now the slower ones that don't change an awful lot except for Saturn over December and January. So Saturn is in quite a helpful angle to your sun sign in Sagittarius, means that you can, if you just put a steady flow of persevering type energy into group connections, getting in with another type of group maybe, or organization, making the sort of key contacts, cultivating certain people, and working your way up a hierarchy. That would be the idea there in a nutshell. You Aquarians born the 26th of January to the 1st of February, or with 6 to 12 degrees rising in December, are going to feel that